Good morning, beautiful people of the internet, and welcome to Sunday Super Supplement Special. Today, we are joined by the fabulous Helen Chorley, the amazing Piotr Ruznek, and the superfluous in this kind of community, Jay Howard. You can either take me or leave me. Today, we do not have the mind that is Adam Lawrence with us. He might try and join at some stage or another, but he's kind of driving up to a birthday party of some description. So we won't have the brain of Britain with us today, but we do still have his comment. Who's been the teacher's pet and read the whole thing? No show of hands. Who's read half of it? There you go. It's a show of hands.
Yeah, I did.
Who's read none of it? You read it.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to do the cliff notes? Because Adam normally starts off with the cliff notes.
Me, yeah. Yeah, I can do it as long as you guys can hear me. I mean, it's like it was posted quite late, so in our defense, that's why we didn't read everything.
Yeah, that's why.
We couldn't find it. Yeah, it was like 9:30, 9:25, something like that. But anyway, it's Adam talked obviously quite a bit about inflation and things like that, and also about like the things in the economy that are a bit constant and the things that we need to be looking at in like a long term forecasting, which is like the birth rates and how people move, how people live, and there's always going to be the need for housing. So basically, it's the foundational things why property businesses are not dead and won't be dead, and it's just we'll just need to adapt to certain things. That's about it.
I like the because obviously he centered it around demand. So we were at the PIP live last week. We were talking quite a bit about supply demand and how that's affecting the market in real terms. Because a lot of people have said, "Oh, inflation is up, interest rates are up," but also the property market is still up and going up. And people have been confused as to why those things everything's going up instead of, the things that you think would be going up would put the pressure on other elements to go down. The property values and the transactional speeds are still kind of where they have been. So, yeah. And we were talking about the fact that actually there's just not enough supply out there. So the demand is still overreaching where the market is or where we perceive the market to be. And that was a really interesting conversation.
And you've got rents going up as well. So not only have you got kind of capital values going up, but you have rents as well, which is an unusual correlation. Or, well, my reference there is London.
I mean,
London, so.
The thing with rents going up, it's also that the affordability is going down, right? So it's there are people choosing whether to pay their rent or whether to pay the council tax or turn their fridge on and things like that. It's not everywhere. It's probably not in high income areas or parts of London, but you're starting to hear more and more noise about Facebook forums and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see how, because obviously the government has asked the banks to do affordability checks. Well, I don't think it's affordability checks. They've removed something around affordability as part of their lending profile. That's going to have interesting connotations, I think, because that's what it's wanting now. It doesn't matter what the inflation is to a certain extent or what the mortgage rates are. It's going to come down to supply and demand and affordability. It kind of feels like we're being pushed back into like a 2008 thing, because if you take the affordability out of the mortgages and you're lending someone 80% on their standard residential purchase, 80%, that's 20% equity, which they'll probably get a Help to Buy on or some other scheme. There's plenty out there.
There's no
that equity can be swallowed up really very quickly. What was that, Pierre?
the Help to Buy is over. But I get
Oh
it.
yeah, the Help to Buy. Yeah. But
That-
are they not doing the deposit match anymore? Can't buy with a 5% deposit.
I think it's over.
I
don't
think the
know.
point is
You
though
think it's
that
over?
you're getting back into a kind of an access to almost an easy access to credit, and that's what got us into kind of trouble. Yeah, heading up to 2008. If people stretch themselves beyond their means just because they can, because the facility is there for them, then does that spell kind of danger ahead?
Well, I made the statement that it's kind of like I don't think the government know how to solve the pressures and the problems that they're facing. So I think that what they're doing is they're almost kind of creating a 2008 Mark II, which I don't think it will be as bad as 2008 because that was global and that involved a whole host of other things. But if they can put it into a position where they're like, oh, we can fix this, or they perceive they can fix it because stimulus is still going from 2008, that hasn't stopped. So it'll be interesting to see. I've also made the other statement that what I think happens with this government is that they wait for the problems to get so far. Like they want people to feel a bit of pain, and then they come in and they got a stimulus or they found a way to fix it, and they're like, "Oh, look at us, we're heroes." But the reality is, people look at them like you could have solved this 4 weeks ago. No one had to feel the pain if you acted sooner. So it kind of feels like they're doing this whole "we're here to rescue you." If there's a problem, we can fix it. Like, well, actually, you could have fixed it before it became such a big problem. At least with like the energy crisis and stuff like that.
I was thinking about that in a different context this morning, actually, like being seen to be doing things. I was thinking about it when I started work at JPM, actually, that it's not just, kind of part of this game of life, or certainly game of working for a corporate anyway, is not just doing it and being good at what you're doing, but being seen to be kind of doing well, and that's where some people kind of fall into that trap of that. I don't know. It's completely random tangent, not unusual. But people get promoted because they're seen to be doing well. But that's kind of like what you're saying about the government. It's like they make a big fanfare of solving a thing last minute, but it kind of adds to the impact of what they're doing. Whereas in actual fact, if they'd have done it earlier and prevented it, people might not have noticed, so they wouldn't have got the credit for that, but they get the credit by leaving it last minute and then going, oh my God, look, we solved it, we're amazing.
But isn't that almost the same as the social media? Like, as long as you're seen, you're doing amazing. It's like, that's all matters, whether you're actually doing it or not. For a lot of people, it doesn't really matter. So perceptions are playing a big role here. But I think like all this, it does create kind of changes in the market, and when there are changes, there are also opportunities. And I think we've seen that like in the auctions quite a bit. Like this week, I think 4 of our Auction Buyers Club members purchased properties in auctions. Like 2 sold something extremely well beyond everyone's expectations. And I think it's like all those changes, they create like new openings that can be found, and for a lot of people it will be difficult to kind of deal with some things, and then there will be other people who will be like looking for new ways of doing things. And what do you guys think of like where things are gonna be kind of changing in how we operate, how we do things, and what do you think are the ways forward?
I think kind of stresses and new challenges and pressures like that, people always become inventive. Again, like if I think about banking, they were always kind of a step ahead of the regulator because you've got really clever people trying to work out how to make money. And the incentive is there. It's what Adam talks about a lot, isn't it? How are people incentivized? But tell us about the auctions. How were they? That's an amazing result, by the way. Well done.
Yeah, we had an amazing day on Wednesday. In general, we met and we went to Barnard Marcus auction, and it was very quiet auction. I think there was like 20 people in the room. About 10 of them were providing services. About 7 of them was our Auction Buyers Club members, those couple of us, and then the rest was the auction staff. People were mostly bidding online off the telephones. And one of our Auction Buyers Club members was bidding on lot 1, but they lost out by something like 10k. Not a massive amount, but it was over their maximum. And then after that, after the first few lots, we left because it was really difficult to focus on conversations. We went to cafes and went to lunch, and then 2 of our Auction Buyers Club members were buying something and also selling something. So one of them had Kim. She had this HMO in Birmingham with income generating in an Article 4 area of Birmingham, and was guided 175, producing something like 23k of income. And she really would be happy with like 220, 210 kind of sale for that house. It sold for 266. It was insane.
Wow.
Like literally we're just watching the bidding like it was the World Cup final or something. Everyone's like heads in the phone, and we're all sitting on one table, and it was pretty amazing to watch. And then she also had with the HMOs, like there was a piece of land to the side. And that piece of land, basically she separated it, and she put it in as a separate lot, and it sold for 12k, which it wasn't adding any value to the HMO. As a separate thing, it actually produced some income. So I think that was super good. And then one of our other members bought a short lease flat in Aldershot for a good price. What else happened, Jay?
And are you allowed to say, or do you know who the buyer of the HMO is? I'm just wondering, like, who's picking these things up at the moment, what they're, because we've talked previously about I know kind of institutions don't kind of buy kind of one-off things. They're more likely to buy like bulk things. We just wondered, you didn't want to answer my question.
Well, that's it. You clearly asked the wrong question, Helen. But just to highlight this, we've got a comment from David. Good morning from Chesterfield, guys. Just remember, by being in auctions, we're so far ahead of the market than everyone else. So we've said for ages that the auction market is anywhere between 6 to 8 months ahead of the estate agency market because it moves so fast. There was a point at the end of once all the buying and selling had finished, we're huddled around this like cafe kind of table. We're now down to like 5 or 6 of us, and we're all scanning through the unsold lots in Essential Information Group, just trying to see if there was a diamond in the rough that no one noticed. It failed to sell, and we're just sitting there, and people were like kind of talking like, "I'll get my sister to look at this. Let's call up so and so about the finance." And it was really starting to move into like, let's get a deal done kind of territory. It was a lot of fun. It was a really good day. It was a really good day. And for some of the Buyers Club members, it was their first time in the actual auction room, so bidding in front of the auctioneer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
How did they find that?
Really nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But I was standing next to one of them, and they kept looking at me going, do I bid now? And it was like, at one point it was going up in like £2,000 increments, and I said, shout out 165. He goes, do what? I said, shout out 165. So he shouted it out, and then the whole room went quiet. Not like there was many, but even the auctioneer was like, okay, well let's put that bid in and let's stop this. And the online bidders couldn't bid. So he basically disrupted the entire flow of the auction, which is kind of, it wasn't enough for him to secure the asset. He was only 10 grand, which he said was the closest he'd ever got to winning a property at auction, which is good. but it kind of it showed that there was a real bidder that, and I think that kind of muted the price that that it sold. Other bidders online were thinking, right, there's a lunatic that's shouting out £5,000-7,000 bids above where we are. So that was good fun. That was really good fun.
Cool.
Nice.
That
Guys,
for viewers, that's not to be done unless you've got someone like that stood next to you. Don't start.
Yeah.
doing that
It's you don't do that unless that could put you into in a bit of mess. But no, fortunately, it was one of the chaps that you introduced us to, Helen. So it was.
Oh, cool.
It was one of them. So they really enjoyed the day, which was good fun.
Cool, I bet.
Piotr, we got a question for you here from Devinder. Piotr, why are there trees behind your head?
It's behind my head because there is I'm at a beach volleyball tournament today, and basically tuning in from here. There's we're starting the games in like 10 minutes or so. So that's why Jay is in charge of technology, and like it should be a round of applause for Jay managing to do that.
I'm really impressed.
Jay, I think it's a regular thing.
I got the actual things that people have said come up on the screen. You've got no idea how happy I am with myself.
I am so impressed with that. Let me tell you, honestly.
Yeah, man.
Piotr, we almost forgot. Dominic's reminded us. Look at this. And one of your auction buyers clubbers bought 2 flats / a house in Farnborough the next day. So yeah, the dark horse of yeah. Go on, Piotr.
Yeah, well, I'm saying we're keeping Dominic busy with other buyers club members asking him for favors because that's all around him within like 5 minutes both ways. So yeah, it's been an active week in Auction Buyers Club.
Cool, that's awesome.
So we've got a question from Sim. Sim normally asks these questions. He tries to join us most weeks. Interesting point of discussion on the easing credit. What are your thoughts on Boris Johnson wanting 50-year mortgages? I know my relatives in the US have long mortgages like this as a standard.
Sorry, guys, I'll leave you with that question. I need to jump, but now I know you're doing right today. It lives. I can live with peace.
Good luck.
Have fun,
we'll
guys.
See you later, bro.
Play well.
Right. He said he's at a volleyball tournament. I think he's just gone to the nudist beach. No, he's people don't know. He's that kind of guy. He's not going to let this stay on his profile for too long. So let's
now we're in charge. We can say anything we like about the others.
Well, yeah, they really do kind of keep us in check a bit, don't they? So it's kind of now we can let the craziness loose. There's no one here to kind of reel us back in. Yeah. So for Sim's question, we'll do mistake and Sim's question. So the 50-year mortgages, there's been like 25-year mortgages around for quite some time. Most people tend to do anywhere between 18 and 20, but most people tend to refinance at the end of their fixed period anyway, if there is a fixed period. So most mortgages get renewed, refinanced within standard 2 to 5 years. I know some who had a 1-year mortgage that just kept renegotiating the terms at the end of every year. I think that stopped quite a few years ago, but they may be still benefiting from that kind of facility. But 50 years, I don't think you're going to get a 50-year fixed rate.
Well, that's it. That's where my mind had gone with that. Like if you could fix, at a decent level now and lock that in for 50 years, then that's a great idea. But how is a bank going to cover 50-year exposure? I don't know. But then it seems to me like different markets or different countries have different kind of traditions almost. Because it hasn't Piotr said previously that you get a mortgage and that's it, you're done. there is no refinance. You have that thing for life. But there was one market we talked
yes,
about.
and I understand that's the Polish market. Apparently, that's you get the mortgage and that's it. And there's other places like in Northern Europe that are fairly similar from memory.
Right.
But I mean, the other thing to remember, like in the US, there isn't a great deal of migration within the states. So, like the majority of people in America, they tend not to leave their state, let alone move too far. Like so, the other with the 50-year mortgages, obviously, most mortgages are portable, so you can port the mortgage across to a new asset. But there's quite a lot of transition in the UK. We're one of the few property economies where we call it the property ladder. So, you expect to start off in the studio or the HMO, and then you move up, and then you move up, and then you end up in the 400-bedroom mansion or whatever it is that's the end goal or the dream. So most people tend to get new rates or new mortgages rather than just porting across. And I think that just might be with the competitiveness on the fees and the new kind of products that the banks bring out. So it's different rates and different terms and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's a very, very competitive market in the UK. So I think the idea of a 50-year mortgage is for banks that it will kind of like spread the risk thinner across that timeline. I don't see them ever fixing unless you were to tie it in with some kind of government-backed bond to tie it in for 50 years. But even then, I don't see them being able to accept the risk. They struggle with 10-year mortgages fixing for 10 years, which I don't. Maybe a mortgage person would like to kind of pop a comment and confirm or deny or give some advice, but I don't see them doing that very often.
It would be interesting to see how those things are priced as well, not from an interest rate perspective, but also, some of these mortgages, depending on what it is, have huge application fees. So would they kind of front load some of the risk by charging a disproportionately large kind of application fee at the front? Just gone off on a tangent. My brain's gone off on a tangent about actually feeling the pain of what my application fee was for my buy-to-let when I did that. Ouch! Like seriously. Anyway,
but I think for the consumer market, so outside of the investor market, consumer market, I imagine they won't front load the fee. I imagine they would backload it, because imagine if they give you a 50-year mortgage, the exit fee or the early repayment charge or whatever. That's really where I think that they're going to have to position it. For the investor market, it normally is on the front end they try to load it up on. So,
that's a really good point, and also something to consider when you're looking at this stuff exactly as exit fees. And actually, something again Adam talked about last week, didn't he? That actually if you're looking to remortgage, or you're looking and you're wanting to kind of future-proof yourself or de-risk yourself going forward, look at what you've got at the moment, the finance that you've got at the moment, and look at those exit penalties, because sometimes, not always, it's actually worth taking the hit on the exit penalty, because you're going to save it over the long term if you keep the mortgage for long enough, and you can lock in a decent rate, knowing that rates are going to go up over, certainly this year and beyond. Probably.
Well, I mean, it looks like, what is it, Thursday is the next meeting where they expect it to go up another 0.25%. I think it is this week coming. But I mean, even I'm remortgaging our home now. The mortgage is due to be renewed in December, but because obviously it's a personal mortgage, you can start the renewal process 6 months early. So literally the day after the 6 months, I sent everything across to the broker and said, just get me something like before Thursday. Like, let's get something agreed before the rate goes up. I'm certainly not the only person that's kind of trying to sneak in before. It's kind of like the stamp duty holiday, right? You're trying to get in before the stamp comes back in or fees go back up. So I imagine there's a lot of mortgage brokers that are working 14-hour days at the moment just to try and get things done. They should hope they would be. So we're up to date with the questions that have been asked, some good questions. So keep throwing those forward. But what are you finding at the moment, Helen? You're how have we not mentioned this? Property Elevator, the latest season.
Oh,
It's now live. It's on air.
yeah,
It's out and it's there. How's it
it
going? How
is.
the first couple of episodes have been out. I heard you
Yeah,
lost out on a really good deal.
yeah. So
Yeah.
our lovely friend, our mutual friend Oma, was on episode 1, and me and Oma nearly did a deal at Property Elevator Live that was at the Landlord Investor Show in October last year. It was really good, actually. It wasn't. I don't know. I sometimes wonder if people think these things are planned or staged, and they're not at all. But Oma had a really good deal that I wanted to do, but I wanted to share the deal with another of the angels. You de-risking, and actually, I thought that was a great plan. Then you get kind of 2 angels for the price of 1, right?
Yeah.
But Oma just wanted me to do the deal, and I denied, and it's not. I look at when I'm doing deals, I look at across a spectrum of risk. I'm like my own asset manager. So I'll have a certain amount in kind of low risk, but kind of lower return stuff. And I spread it out. And actually, in my mind, I mean, I didn't have my spreadsheet in front of me, but in my mind, I was just happy with a certain amount in a certain bucket. So that didn't happen. But I just felt we were going to do something. So when he was on episode 1, when he came into Elevator in March, we recorded it, actually. Was it March? Yes, March we recorded it. Presented another great deal. Really well thought out, really well presented. If you haven't seen the episode, and I'm not just plugging it because it's my show, but honestly, it's a masterclass in how to talk to investors, how to present. Like the pitch book was great. It had so much detail, but not overwhelming amount of detail. It was very clear. And actually how he talked about how he'd kind of ingratiated himself, if you will, with the vendor, really mastered that. And, I said to him on the program, like, this is a masterclass in investor relations. I mean, vendor relations, but same, but different. And yeah, I really thought because of what happened in October, I really thought he was going to choose me. Maybe I got a bit cocky. And he went with someone else. Oh, goodness.
No, the betrayal.
No, I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it, but it makes entire sense. I completely understand why he did. If I'd have been in his shoes, I maybe would have done the same thing. I entirely understand why, but yeah, missed out on a really good deal. But I'm not bitter.
Well, there are people rooting for you, Helen. Look at this. Yes, rooting for Helen to make a deal.
I have actually done a deal, not on the TV programs, the episodes of yet. Gosh, trying to not do spoilers, but I did do a deal. Me and Nicholas Walwork did a deal at the Landlord Investor Show that was that March as well? Yeah, March. So I have done a deal already, not on TV as yet, but I have done one. So I do deals. I get a lot of stick for, you never do any deals. I'm like, yeah, you don't know what I'm doing off camera, mate. So there's one I'm desperate to talk about. But I can't at the moment.
All right, well, I'm going to end the broadcast. I want to hear this story. This is not for everyone, all right?
Well, some of the people involved. So that's a really.
I really want to know.
Really yeah. No, I've got some really interesting things, much as I do like to share, there's some things you can imagine how painful. I'm very open book, as you know. So when I can't talk about things, it's really painful for me. But there's a couple of interesting things going on. There's something else I'm in discussions with about kind of an advisory role for something else that's really exciting. But again, can't talk about it just yet. But watch this space.
Exciting things along the way. I was going to say, like, I introduced you to a game on the.
Oh my God. Seriously, it's like it's a blessing and a curse. It's kind of killed my social life. because now I'm just quite happy staying in. Oh, well, I go down and sit by the beach and have happy hour. And I just don't, I look like one of those really sad people that never gets off their phone because I'm just sat doing this. But what I have to say is, I don't know if it's the heat, my age, I don't know what it is, but my brain at the moment is a bit like, honestly, mush. So it's keeping my little grey cells ticking over. So thank you for that. Thank you and not thank you.
Well, if
But
anyone
I was
wants
thinking
to know
about
the
you.
name, I'm going to put.
I nearly
Go on.
messaged you this morning because I've come up with a new strategy of how to get to where you want to get quicker. So we should discuss that offline.
Wow. Okay. Well, look, I'm going to put, because we've got Ed's asked what game. So it's called Wordle. And it's on wait, where have I put it? Apparently I've just posted that in the wrong place. I've now written Wordle on Property K YouTube channel just randomly. How do I get rid of that? No. All right. Well, the Property Sisters now know it's called Wordle. It's for everyone. Facebook and LinkedIn. The game is called Wordle. And it looks like I've got a lot of games on my phone, my daughter, and you can't see any of that. But it's that game there. That's what it looks like. Wordle there. Oh, so I've got 2 different chess games on my phone. That tells you how sad my life is. But Wordle, it's really and I've got a strategy. So you have to start off a word essentially. You pick. It's 5 letters, isn't it? Well, at least there's like 4 different games you can play. But on the classic, it's a 5-letter word, and you just have to start a word that you can think of that's 5 letters, and then it'll either go letters or they'll go green. So orange means you found the right letter, it's the wrong word, and the letter is in the wrong place. And if it goes green, it means you found the right letter in the right place, but it's not the right word. And you get the right word when all of the letters go green. And I think you've got 5 chances. Is it 5 chances to kind of figure out what this word is? And it's addictive.
If anybody's, it's very like, do you ever remember Mastermind, the board game from like the 70s?
Yeah.
But it had the colours. So it's kind of like that, but with letters. But what you didn't tell me, Jay, which was really naughty of you, is that there's a bloody tournament. Look. I'm like, for somebody competitive, I'm like, oh, well, honestly, why did you do that to me? I'm like, no, look, I've actually dropped to 3rd position in this tournament while we've been on air. So I'm going to have to leave quite shortly to get back up to I was number 2. Number 1's quite far ahead. That's my Sunday sorted.
I've been playing it for must be about 6 weeks now, but maybe a little bit longer. And the starter word, I've just put a random word in there, and it went green. And I was like, oh my god, that's 5 points. It was like the first word that came up. I was like, I'm on fire. And then the next word, I didn't get to like the 4th guess. And I was like, oh, I'm an idiot. You go through this whole like.
Oh my god, you actually put the first line in the first word, and it was the word.
And it was the word. It got green. I was like, I didn't even know what to do. I should have screenshotted it. I was in complete shock that I just picked a random word.
That's like psychic.
It was. I think the word was stripe, and I just put it in there because I had this. It's got 2 vowels, and I thought, well, it's kind of. I wanted to get that in. But yeah. Oh look, here we go. Sim's with us again. Sim's been playing. He goes, though I'm terrible, my best is 3 guesses, but most of my attempts are 4 or 5. Like there are times where it doesn't matter how good you think you are, and you're trying to get it down. I had a run of, I think my points were like 86, and I thought I was doing really, really well, and then I was left with like 2 options. It was either dream or something else. I had 2 options, and I was like, I went with dream, and it was the other one. I was like, God! I had to start all the way at the beginning. Oh,
Ouch.
here we
The
go.
one I couldn't
Can't
the
hear.
one I couldn't get this morning was Begun or Begun. Yeah, I could not. I think I knew there was N, E, and G, and I could not get this word. So there you go.
Wow, it does that to you sometimes. So you're looking at the letters that are left, because every time you put a letter in, it grays it out. So you're like, okay, these are letters at play, and you've got like 2 or 3, and you're like, what could this word just go completely dumb? Like your entire lexicon just goes completely flat, and you're like, no idea what this could be.
Honestly, yeah. I even thought
But,
I was in
we've
bed,
got-
so I didn't do it. But I even thought about writing the letters down and cutting them out in paper and jumbling them around. So
yeah, it's kind of
the
it's like
Ask game.
the ask game.
Dominic.
I mean, this is like Dominic can't help himself but throw spanners in the work when he comes up with these comments. But yeah, the ask game was really cool.
That's
That
what
was
we
really
should do
cool.
one Sunday. We should have an Ask game live. Oh my God, can you imagine?
I tell you what we should do. We should run a little kind of raffle. So whoever like normally listens live, we can get them onto the on the stream with us, and we can do like maybe 1 or 2 people.
Yes, that's a great idea.
I think we should. We should like probably put the names in a hat and then draw them out midweek, and then invite them on the stream with us.
Yeah, the Ask game is brilliant.
That could be
just
good
looking. I'm just looking to see where my deck is. It's over there. I could grab it. But it's a friend of mine. Her and her brother have kind of invented it. It's not kind of totally original concept, but it's a deck of really kind of thought-provoking questions. And you pick one out, and it's sometimes kind of weird and wonderful to see who picks what, kind of each question. And we played it, didn't we, when all you guys were over here in Malta. Played it over dinner, and there was some what goes on in Malta stays in Malta, but there were some very interesting and revealing questions, wasn't there? That was a great night.
Fortunately, I don't remember much of it, because once you pulled out the deck of cards, I was resolute in getting drunk, so I couldn't remember my own answers. Although one of Dominic's answers was really cool. Went into a great deal of detail. That was I think I still remember that one. So every time, if he ever annoys me again, I'll just go, "Oh, do you remember this?" No, but it was really good. It's kind of like Cards Against Humanity, but instead of it being like disastrous circumstances, and you've got like question and answer cards, it's just kind of like question cards, and they kind of, I think they're really well thought out questions to kind of get you to pull out some really interesting experiences or thoughts or goals and ambitions and things like that. And it was a really nice dinner and a lovely settings. It was a nice way to kind of get towards the end of the night. Although I don't think we ended the night there. I can't remember what we did afterwards.
No, we didn't. I can't remember.
Did we have drinks and shisha or something? I can't remember. It was either way.
That was it.
We did. That was it was a good night. That was a good night.
Piotr was there, of course. There was shisha, right?
Yeah, that's it. Piotr's like, "Oh no, it's only midnight. It's too early," and we're like, "Yeah, that's because it's morning. That's why it's too early."
Oh, bless him. No, it's good. I'll stick the link to the game in the comments below. And actually, I've got a discount code. If anybody wants that, message me and I'll give you that. But it's really good. It's just like, you get to, like, they're questions that we would never have come up with to ask each other. So you get to know people that you already know on a whole different level. But I've seen it used as kind of icebreakers. I know somebody that uses it almost like as a journaling prompt. There's whole different remits of it. Actually, we did one of it, didn't we, where we pulled out one card and we all took it in turns to answer, and then we did one card where we guessed what the person's answer would be. That was quite fun, wasn't it?
That one was actually really very interesting. I think that revealed a lot about what we thought about that other person.
Exactly.
And that was kind of it was embarrassing, but it was actually really very kind of like eye-opening as well. I think because I think you have this whole perception of yourself, and not just a perception of yourself, but also a perception of how other people perceive you. And then you get that question passed around, and all of a sudden it's kind of like, okay, how I perceive myself is one thing, but I'm so wrong about how other people perceive me. And it was a really kind of cool exercise to kind of remind yourself not to get in your own head and listen to that internal voice that says, oh, people think of you like this and blah blah blah. Because I don't think I don't think anything kind of matched what I thought people thought of me. So it was
No.
Then I started drinking. And another comment
really,
from Dominic.
Really
So this one here, we went to like the most amazing steak restaurant, and all of us ordered steak apart from Piotr, who was like, no, I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna do it my own way. He went for the tuna, and it was like the best tuna that any of us had eaten. We got towards the end of the meal, and we were like, let's order another tuna to share.
Like, oh my god! Like, exactly how many restaurants between us have we ever been to? This was just like off the. It was as momentous, as an occasion as the first time I had black cod, like at Nobu or like wherever. It was like, oh my god, this is life-changingly good. In fact, I booked the sister restaurant of that for my mum's 80th birthday the week after. It was down in Valletta. At the beautiful old hotel there, the Phoenicia, if anybody knows it. And I was so excited. Like, I know what I'm having. I got there. It wasn't on the menu. Devastated. Devastated.
Wow. That is
so I went for Chateaubriand.
Like, oh, I fancy this for lunch. And then you go out and you can't find it. I get really stroppy when that happens. Because I'm like, okay, well, I'm not eating. I don't want it. I don't want anything else.
I know. I was like, exactly like I had to settle for Chateaubriand. I'm like, babe, that's not a bad second choice, but it wasn't tuna.
It's not quite Carling, though, is it? You kind of when I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, Dominic's point is absolutely right. If you go to a steak restaurant, you don't order the fish. It's like it's a universal constant, unless you go to that one place, which was just like he ordered the fish, and we were like, I can't believe you're ordering fish. And it was like the best tuna I've ever eaten. So that was absolutely brilliant.
I mean, the restaurant is called Beefa. It kind of does what it says on the tin, right? So
but like not for Piotr. Piotr was like, no, I'm my own man. I'm getting fish. I'm like, all right, you're gonna regret it. And it was like the best. It was the best thing on the menu. It was ridiculous. We talked about it for like the next 3 days. We go back and get some tuna.
We did. So that's my top tip for Malta. Go to Beef Bar and have the tuna.
Yeah, can't lose. Yeah, can't lose. And I think we've done well
and take Ask with the Ask game with you as well.
Oh yeah, the Ask game. Yeah. I think we've done really well. We've got to 10:46. We've got this far without Adam's 86.7% contribution.
I loved that Piotr didn't Adam in 3 sentences.
Yeah. Piotr really understands what cliff notes are, right? It's like it was this. Oh, yeah, perfect. Fair enough.
Be more Polish. I love it. I love it. I just love it. I hope his game is going well. Bless him.
He's really got into his volleyball recently, so it's kind of like and he's not like us at all. You know, he's competitive. He's joined this tournament. Where I'll know what his temperament is on Monday morning. If the call goes well Monday morning, I know that he did well in the competition. If it goes poorly, then I know he's still sulking about losing.
Cool. Well, big shout out to you for managing the tech.
I mean, I think I should get promoted within the business, chief of technological improvements and expertise or something. Make up something, chief technological officer or something. Everyone loves the CTOs, CFO, CEO bollocks, don't they? You know, it's a completely made up term. Did you know in company law, you've got two entities that are recognized within a business. The first is director and the second is secretary. Everything else is bollocks. Absolutely bollocks. Founder is an Americanism, complete bullshit in the UK. And so is the CEO, CFO, COO. All that crap is self-important Americanisms. The only thing in the UK is a director or you're a secretary or an employee underneath.
Well, you learn something new.
Companies Act 2000. There you go. I've ruined a lot of egos shouting that out loud, but say la vie. Should we pull the call to a conclusion? Yeah.
Yes.
And on that bombshell,
I need to go and eat after all that chat about food.
Oh, that's it. You're gonna say I'm gonna get some tuna. All right, brilliant, guys. Well, hopefully next weekend there will be more of us because obviously we do miss Adam and Piotr and Ross is, of course. We mustn't forget Ross. Ross will probably join us back one day, someday. But yeah, so for today, it's just been myself and Helen. We haven't gone too far off piste.
I know, we've been very restrained. And actually, our language has been very good today.
I think so. I mean, I ended it with a couple of bastards, but in reality, that was a low swear count. For all those who attended Partners in Property Live last week, will know that every other word on my talk was a profanity. So.
It was honestly, it's one of the best talks I've ever seen. Honestly, do you know what? It's worth the membership. Honestly, join. The membership cost is worth it just to go into the repository and watch that one. Honestly, it's the best 50, 60 quid you'll spend. Honestly, do it.
I was in the bar afterwards. We've got a guy that edits the videos and he'll bleep the bleep words out. And there was a post on the Partners in Property community page on Facebook, and the guy was obviously on there. He goes, if I was to bleep out or remove all of Jay's swear words, it would be less than a 3-minute video. So that shows you the quality of the conversation that was taking place. But yeah, it was a really cool event. So and obviously Adam normally flies the flag for Pitt, but I think I'm a member. I think Helen, you're still a member.
I am indeed.
Yeah, so we're members. We enjoy the community, but definitely worth checking out because the repository contains all of the talks that they've had for like the past 5 years or something like that. So there's a massive back catalogue of chat, and you've spoken there, I've spoken there, Ed's chat on there, and Ed did a talk on one of his experiences, which was an absolutely phenomenal chat.
It actually made us all cry. We couldn't actually speak after Ed's chat. Do you remember? It was that profound.
Yeah, I think I was furious at the end. I was like, not with Ed, obviously, but I was just like with how it will conclude. You just end up, I was seething. That's a good word. I was seething after that chat, but it stunned everyone into a bit of silence.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's lots of value in that community. So yeah.
Check it out.
All right, well let's go. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go and find some food somewhere. I'm not sure if I can find some decent tuna in Northamptonshire, but I'll give it a go.
Cool. See you next week, everybody.
All right. Keep safe, keep well, everyone. See you Sunday.
You can't find the off switch, can you?
I found it, but it hasn't offed yet. I've got to be careful. Piotr was like, remember to actually click it when it says confirm.